Good evening, everyone.
Progress.
Good evening, and welcome to the June 12th meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit Board of Directors. This is a hybrid meeting, meaning that members of the public can participate in the meeting either in person or virtually. This meeting is being live streamed, and the slide on the screen shows the information of how you can join the webinar via Zoom. You can also call into the meeting at area code 253-215-8782. And the webinar access code is 837-9338-8162. Tabitha, if you'll do a roll call for us and then read the Metro Cable replay statement.
Of course. Director Budge?
Here.
Director Daniels?
Here.
Director Hume is absent. Director Kozlowski?
Here.
Director Laloe is absent. Director Maple?
Here.
Director Cerna?
Here.
Director Singh Allen?
Here.
Director Valenzuela?
Here.
Chair Kennedy is absent, and Vice Chair Jennings.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum at 8 votes, and this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed caption and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Saturday, June 17th at 1 p.m. and Sunday, June 18th at 12 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/MetroCable14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. If you are participating by phone, please push *9 to indicate a desire to comment, and if you're joining us through Zoom, please push the raise hand button. Be sure to unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak and voluntarily state your name for the record.
Thank you very much. All right. It is now time for our Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would stand, I've asked Director Maple to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this point in time, we will take our first item, which is the consent calendar. This is item 2, which is 2.1 all the way to 2.10. Are there any directors that have questions? Okay, I will go all the way down to the end to Director Valenzuela.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to request that we pull item 2.8 for a future meeting. We're having some conversations with staff that are not done, and they concur that there's no timeliness, so we can pull that without any issue.
Okay. Others?
Mr. Chair?
Approve.
Yes. Move approval of consent with the exception of 2.8, which will be continued to a later meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, and it's been seconded. You have the second?
The second was Singh Allen, right?
I think she beat him in a close race between Kozlowski and Singh Allen.
It's a hollow victory.
Okay, so for the consent calendar, items 2.1 to 2.10, with the exception of 2.8 being pulled. Director Budge?
Yes.
Director Daniels?
Aye.
Director Hume is absent. Director Kozlowski?
Yes.
Director Laloe is absent. Director Maple?
Aye.
Director Cerna?
Aye.
Director Singh Allen?
Aye.
Director Valenzuela?
Yes.
Chair Kennedy is absent. Vice Chair Jennings?
Yes.
All right, the consent calendar passes with 8 votes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we need a motion to continue that item to a date certain or a date uncertain?
Well, I think I heard it for a future meeting. That was what I heard in the motion. And if that being correct, I don't believe we need a motion for that because it was included in a part of the motion of moving the item.
Okay.
So is that correct?
Yes.
that your understanding as well?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, we will move then to our next item. Would you please call the next item, please?
The next item is 5.1, public hearing and adoption of the fiscal year 2024 operating and capital budgets. Jason Johnson is here to present this item.
Mr. Johnson, good evening.
Good evening, Vice Chair Jennings and members of the board. Jason Johnson, VP of Finance, CFO. Staff submitted the preliminary budget on April 10th and then a revised draft budget at the May 8th board meeting, where the first of 2 public hearings was held to receive public comment and answer questions. Tonight, we opened the second public hearing with staff presenting the final balanced FY24 operating and capital budget for adoption. There have been no changes to the bottom line of the budget since the May 8th draft. However, in consideration of recently concluded negotiations with several union groups, discussions were held with the OE3 leadership team, which resulted in SacRT agreeing to an additional 1% salary increase on top of the previously negotiated 3% annual merit increases for both FY23 and FY24.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
I'm going to have to apologize to you. So that was a practice run. In football, we just call that, we're in a practice session, right? So I do have to apologize because on the previous item, and I'm looking at the cards that are in front of me, there was public comment that I did not allow to take place. So if you will just pause for a second, I'd like to call Roman H. if he still wants to speak to the items of 2.5 and 2.8. Thank you for your understanding, sir.
No, it's okay. People make mistakes, especially the government. Let me see. So 2.5 was, if I'm not mistaken, that's about what software to use for mobile payments. The reason I'm here speaking, I believe we should just have fair, free for all, especially for the unhoused or disabled elderly. We do it for children from kinder to 12th grade. Why? Because they're vulnerable. They don't have any money, any funds for tickets. We're going to pay almost $100,000 for a mobile payment system. Why are we going to spend money if, we're trying to get riders to ride the public transit? I think a great incentive would be to eliminate that. Or because most times than not, if you can't afford a $2 ticket, you can't afford a $60 fine. And 9 times out of 10, if you could afford that $2 ticket, you could pay that $2 ticket. So Henry Lee's policies are very against the unhoused. So that's just one of the policies. So I feel like using some of these funds where I'll be speaking with all these motions or all these on the agenda, we're able to find these funds to help subsidize or fund the mobile or to fund ticket fares. So like I said, that's $100,000 that is going to be saved, and they charge us for the credit and debit processing. So that's, we're saying it's $100,000, but in reality, it could be more since we're paying every processing fee. Credit card companies are evil, so I understand, it's a business. But if we're treating public service as a business, then we fail. Your hometown of Washington, D.C. just made bus fare free to everyone. If we claim to be such a progressive city, we're trying to help the unhoused, why do we have all these policies against them to put them in a deeper hole? A lot of them can't even, they might not have a phone, or the phone they do have, the app might be glitchy. The app is not great at all. I've had many issues with it in the past. So I don't understand why we're going to spend $100,000 for something that might not be great, when in reality, we could save that money, get some ridership. Mr. Lee's been, applying for all these grants to improve public transit, but what's the point if no one's riding it? So, like I said, that's the first motion on 2.5 to save $100,000. And as we go on, we'll continue.
Thank you. Did you also want to speak to 2.8?
I did. That's about selling properties that SacRT has. So if they are approved to sell these properties, that's another couple millions of dollars right there, if I'm not mistaken. So if we're looking for funds, we can't afford it for free fares. That's another source of income from the $100,000. From some of these properties we sell, that could be a couple millions of dollars as well to help fund these. And, just letting people ride the public transit. It's not a bad public transit. Customer service is awful, but it's not the worst. And we could improve these and, you know, make the citizens and residents of Sacramento better while also helping out the environment. But yeah, since we're not going to really touch on 2.8, like I said, it's just all about where can we get funds to have fares free for everyone, not just children, essentially just for the most vulnerable. But yeah, I guess that's about it for those two motions.
Thank you, Roman. And please forgive me for my mistake, sir. And do any directors have any comments based on what they've heard?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Roman, you stepped away. Did I hear you correctly? Did you say public service should not be treated as a business?
Correct. So when you call the ambulance, when you call the police, are you given, I guess, a fee, or are you supposed to pay for that? Not really.
Ambulance, yes.
For ambulance, you
Yes.
sure do.
And
It's the
very
insurance.
high.
It should be free in all honesty, but like if you call the fire department, you know, if someone's just to come save your life, if we're treating public service, we're paying taxes. We are paying this as a whole. The city is paying this. So if we're paying your salaries, paying for all these services, why are we paying for it on top of our taxes? And like I said, ever since COVID, ridership has gone down. So I feel like this would be a great opportunity to create, you know, more ridership. I'm going to touch on it more later on, but I think a great idea would to be eliminate people who are checking tickets. Instead, we should have people checking on well-being, on your, you know, how are you doing? Because, like I said earlier, if you can't afford a $2 ticket, what makes you think you can afford a $60 ticket? I told Henry Lee a little earlier as well, we could charge a toll on all these freeways, just like San Francisco, LA starting to do it as well, to incentivize taking public transit rather than driving. So that's just another source of income where that could come from. But yeah, like I said, if we treat public services as a business, then we're going in the wrong direction here. That's my personal opinion. I understand, you know, we're here to make money, but at the same time, we can make money in different ways.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments? Okay. Yes.
There's a couple people online that have their hand up. I'm
All
not
right.
sure if it's on the consent calendar, but
Do you want to open up the portal to them?
yes. So we have Nick Bryant.
Hey, Nick, I'm just hopeful if you're there that this is on items 2.1 to 2.10.
Okay. I'd like to see maybe what about when we talked about mobile fare, I was thinking maybe using having the Connect Car machines on library vehicles, and I think that it would be a good idea. You know, you tap your Connect card on the library vehicles, because you got homeless people outside, you know, damaging our library, our Connect card machines, and half of them don't work. They're always broken. Every single time, they're always broken. It's either the glass is cracked. We just need to check all of them, and I feel like the best thing is to have a security guard at every library station, like Royal Oaks, Martin Del Paso, just all of them, basically. You know, that we need to. I think that you guys need to add Connect Car machines to library vehicles, and also another thing is at Y.ED, when I go downstairs, the elevators are always broken. I just think that we need to add our fixed big bus down the lower level platform at Y.ED along with Placer County Transit. It would be interested, because I think they would be a good idea. Then we need to ban. I think that we should ban Y.ED. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Rick Hodgkins.
Rick, if you'll unmute your mic.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. If
Okay,
you'll just
sorry.
speak up a little bit louder.
Okay, well, my microphone doesn't get any louder than this, and also I'm blind. I don't see as well as I used to see. Mr. Jennings.
Rick, we can hear you now.
Okay, I turned up my speakers. I hope that helps. Okay. So there are way too many items on the consent calendar, but I would rise in support of whatever the contract is with Echo Engineering. I don't know if that's to repair air conditioning in RT's existing headquarters. If it is, that's what I support. Also, to rebuild the Watt and I-80 light rail station. I rise in support of that. We still have homeless people that would use the elevator, which would use the elevator as their bathroom, or they would damage it in some other way. This can't go on and on. It would really help. I know that the light rail stations with restrooms, those restrooms are not accessible to the public simply because they're not ADA compliant. I think maybe that needs to be taken a look at. I thought at Watt and I-80 I saw a outhouse once. I don't know if it's still there, and even if it's there, the homeless probably trashed that. And I would agree with Nick on the putting the Connect card machines on board. It's identical to the San Francisco Muni and other trains down in the San Francisco Bay Area having they call them Clipper cards on trains, except for Caltrain, their Clipper card machines are in the stations. But as for BART doesn't have them on the trains, they have them in the stations. But for like the Muni streetcars, the Muni light rail, and the Muni buses, Clipper cards are on board the vehicles because homeless are wrecking those. Anyway, that's all I have. There's just way too many items for the consent calendar, but I spoke on the 3 key ones or 4 key ones, and I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Do you-
So are there any, please?
Can we do a revote on the consent calendar after public
No,
comment?
our minds are thinking just like together. So first, I'll take director comments first. For anyone that, based on what they heard, have anything else to say?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Do we have examples of restrooms that are not made available to the public because they are not accessible? Is that possible 30 years after the ADA was passed?
So our restrooms at the stations are there for operator use during break times, layover, et cetera. So they weren't necessarily designed for use as a public accommodation under the ADA.
But are they old enough that they're not accessible? Because our drivers are supposed to have access to accessible restrooms just the same as any other employee in any other business.
Well, they would be entitled to a reasonable accommodation if needed to use the restroom, but typically an operator wouldn't be in a wheelchair such that they would need an ADA compliant restroom in order to do their job.
Okay, so the answer to my question is yes, we have restrooms that are not fully accessible for the operators to use.
Can we take a look at that and get back?
Yeah, I don't need a
Yeah.
perfect answer
our
right this
engineering
minute, but I'm
department
just
would
curious
have to-
about that.
yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Tabitha, would you take a roll call vote again once, please?
Okay.
Please.
Director Budge?
Do we need another motion?
Oh, do you want another motion in a second?
I'll move again the consent calendar with the exception of item 2.8.
Thank you.
Second.
Second?
Okay, thank you, Director Budge. Director Budge?
Yes.
Director Daniels?
I think so.
Director
Aye.
Hume is absent. Director Kozlowski?
Yes.
Director Laloe is absent. Director Maple?
Aye.
Director Cerna?
Aye.
Director Singh Allen?
Aye.
Director Valenzuela?
Yes.
Chair Kennedy is absent, and Vice Chair Jennings.
Yes.
And the consent calendar, with the exception of 2.8, passes with 8 votes.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to item 5.1, the opening of the public hearing, adoption of the fiscal year 2024 operating and capital budget. And Jason Johnson will present again for the second time.
Deja vu. Good evening, Vice Chair Jennings and members of the board. Jason Johnson, VP of Finance, CFO. Staff submitted the preliminary budget on April 10th and then a revised draft budget at the May 8th board meeting, where the first of 2 public hearings was held to receive public comment and answer questions. Tonight, we open the second public hearing with staff presenting the final balanced FY24 operating and capital budget for adoption. There have been no changes to the bottom line of the budget since the May 8th draft. However, in consideration of recently concluded negotiations with several union groups, discussions were held with the OE3 leadership team, which resulted in SacRT agreeing to an additional 1% salary increase on top of the previously negotiated 3% annual merit increases for both FY23 and FY24. The increase is for all OE3 members and MCEG non-represented employees. These changes have been incorporated into the final FY24 operating budget presented for approval. To offset these increases, reductions were made to the salaries and benefits budget, primarily to the timing of new hires that will not negatively impact SacRT's ability to fulfill its mission. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the board for their policy guidance, Henry for his direction, and the entire leadership and management team for making this a collaborative and participatory budget process. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from directors? Seeing none, how about public comment? I now have the cards in front of me. I will not make that mistake again. I'd like to bring Roman back to the microphone, followed by Jeffrey Tardigidi.
Thank you. I touched on it earlier. Like I said, we should eliminate folks checking tickets. I'm not saying to eliminate security, because we still need security. We still need certain policies in line. You know, you can't bring garbage of bags on the light rail, so on and so forth. So there's certain things that we need to have in place to follow the rules to live as a civil society. But when we find someone struggling, as I said earlier, why are we going to put them in a deeper hole? So rather than checking your ticket, we're checking on your well-being. A lot of times with the unhoused, an issue is we don't know where they live or they stay moving around. At least on this light rail ride, instead of kicking them off or giving them a $60 fine, taking a picture of them, belittling them, degrading them, now we have a conversation. Now we can find out why you're in this position. What can we do to help you, you know? So rather than just kicking you off and throwing you to the curb, we could see what we could do to help you out. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, someone could probably afford that $2.50 ticket, $2.50 ticket. If you can't really afford it, you can't afford a $60 fine. So it just makes 0 sense. So that's why I would rather have folks checking on your well-being than checking your ticket. So hopefully we could turn this member into someone who can contribute to society and who could maybe pay that $2 fare down the road. Or like I said earlier, I would love to eliminate fares as a whole. Rick Jennings' hometown just eliminated bus fares. I believe Kansas City, Missouri did free public transit for veterans. So we're seeing these steps in the right direction. And like I said, we claim to be such a progressive city, but in reality, we are not. But just something to think about where you talk about where can we get this money to fund things. I talked about $100,000 from the software for mobile payments. I talked about the sales of the properties if that does happen. And now I'm just talking about moving this salaries to someone else's salaries. We don't need to fire them per se, but we could retrain them to help the community out rather than doing negative things to the community. But yeah, I rest my case.
Thank you, Roman. Those are all the cards I have. Do you have anybody on the phone?
I believe we have
I'm
Jeffrey
sorry.
Tardigida.
Jeffrey.
I am here in person versus the phone. To reminder for your service, yes, on several Zoom meetings, it doesn't come through real clear sometimes, like we had with Rick and others through there. For the MAC meetings, we've had 2 times where the first 15 minutes it takes to set up so that everybody's on the same page to try and listen. Either you're hearing or you can't be heard. But for my 2 minutes of time through here, and dealing with the budget, you've heard me spoke before when we've had, quote, public hearing for questions on the budget. is, and I've spoken with this individual about, is there needs to be a better explanation of how you look at the document, what the document is about, and explaining that, when you're having a public hearing approving this billion-dollar budget here this year, what are the significant impacts, changes, and understand what is in the document, the levels that you have in there. I have now where it's very extremely hard for me to read any, should we say, financial document because it is in such small print. So encouraged is much like you made the efforts of coming up with these type of items that go through a little pamphlet explaining what's going on. I believe it would be eminently helpful to the public of knowing what is in the budget. And if there's things like excess property that is being considered, that, to my knowledge, has not been in previous years been a line item, but it should be a line item through there now because it's going to have significant changes taking place over the year. Having significant changes with your law enforcement and other aspects would be something that it would seem like, in years past, it's been very consistent. Things that change this year comparing to 1 year ago, 3 years ago, what else has changed in there would be, I think, a helpful part of explaining what is going on with the budget. Took me a while to realize that there was a time that there was 3 separate budgets. There was your operating budget, there was your capital budget, and there was actually sort of a real estate budget sort of flagged in there, hiding somewhere in between. And that's my public comment for today on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now we'll move to any public comment in the virtual world.
So we have Rick Hodgkins.
Good evening, Rick.
Good evening again, Councilmember Director Jennings. Anyway, on the budget, first off, I would note and report that with one of the previous speakers, both on the consent calendar and on this item, that we cannot have free fares for everybody because there is a law in place, and I can't remember offhand if it's a state or federal law, it's irrelevant right now, but that there is a clause in the law, a provision in the law, if you will, that which says that a certain designated amount of our revenue must come from fares. So I don't know how we're able to afford no fare for children, but all I could say is that for everyone else, there has to be a fare. I don't know if we can institute that for the homeless. The homeless might be in another exception. That is something that we'll have to take a look at further down the line, further down the road. As far as the budget is concerned, I do rise and support the sale of unused buildings and other property which RT no longer has, if and only if it would strengthen our budget so that we could, extend light rail out to the future. We have the Green Line, people out in Township 9, that they have light rail, but that they don't have any service on the weekends. That's to the best of my knowledge, unless that's changed. Someone correct me. And second, speaking of the Green Line, that we still have to extend the Green Line out to Sac International, perhaps putting a station at between Terminal A and Terminal B at the airport, at SMF, whatever the MF stands for. But as far as the rest of the budget goes, I haven't had time to really look at it, but I would support the selling of unused buildings and property if it will mean, adding more service and expanding service. So the question is where to put light rail out to Natomas, because as former city council member, now Senator Ashby, had complained that where the track's going to go, but that's a discussion for yet another day and another time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, over here.
Okay. Director Cerna?
Thank you. So I'm going to beat Henry to the punch a little bit So we've heard twice now reference to what the city of Washington, D.C. May or may not be doing in terms of reduction or elimination of bus fares. And from what limited media I can glean on the old interwebs here, it seems that there's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a fundamental difference between their system and our system? Because it seems like it's actually a municipal service in DC versus an independent district here, number one. Number two, from what I read, and this seems to be a fairly recent article, it was introduced as a proposed way to enhance ridership and provide least cost service to riders, but they soon found themselves in a budget with a budget problem. And so I guess they're now trying to rectify a $32 million hole. So maybe you can speak to that, Mr. Director.
DC government has been promoting the free transit for the DC residents. They have been doing that. They have tried to do that for last several years. Finally, the DC Council allocated funding to pay for all
City Council.
Yes, City Council from city's general fund to pay for all rides.
Right.
Who ride, who ride on the DC Metro. So they really, just they structure just like us, different constituencies and different cities and county, and for them it's four states. If we count DC. Since you're asking question, I just want to add a little bit more. Making transit free is always our wish in the past, and we tried. I think SacRT is in the leading position in the industry to try to see how we can make some how we can make our riders free to ride transit. So last year, last November's Measure A, including the funding for SacRT, and we specifically mentioned if that measure passed, then we would try to make our transit ride free system-wide. But without that, 3-4 years ago, we start ride free for all 265,000 youth, including homeless, anybody from kinder to grade 12s. So we were the first agency in the nation to make that free for all system-wide. And there were a couple of transit agencies made free for the certain area, certain routes, certain district, whatever. But we made that totally free. However, excuse me, there's a catch-up here. Thanks to the tremendous support from all cities, county, and school districts, the fare was paid by the cities and the county and the school districts. And if we, so this is kind of like a balanced act. If we made that free now, then we have to cut our service.
Right.
But if the cities, county can pay for some additional service for others, and we would love to do so. And in the meantime, we are trying to do more to say if we can eventually, make the system wide free. For example, for the homeless, population, we are allowing them to ride free. We regularly give the tickets, passes to the organizations who helps the homeless population. So our goal actually, is. So there may be some communication. Hey, why we did now communication issue? why we did not openly say, hey, homeless population will ride free, right? But we actually gave those tickets to the organizations to let them ride free. But we did not say it's free.
And then, Henry, also remind all of us, when former Director Jennings conceived the idea of attempting to make ridership free for our young constituents that are, school-aged, what did I say? Sorry. I didn't mean to give you credit.
I was going to take credit, but I was also going to correct you at the same time.
Former Director Jay Chenier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the city also made a financial commitment to help with that. Is that correct? To help offset the lost revenue, fare box revenue that would otherwise come from the students.
Yeah, that's what I said. All cities and counties.
Yeah, but I
and
just want to make
school
that
districts paid
very,
for
very
that.
clear because
Yeah.
without that caveat, then I think people are left thinking that, well, we have the budget headroom to be able to do something like that and not cut routes and not cut other parts of our service. And that's just not the case.
No. I would love to look at any potential funding sources to make system free, but we will bring that to the board after we talk to find viable sources.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other director comments? Okay. With that, would you please call the roll for the vote?
I do have one more hand up online.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Please.
Okay, Nick Bryant.
Yes, what are we talking about?
This is the item on the budget and the adoption of the 2024 operating and capital budget, item 5.1.
Yes, I do agree on that. There's no reason that we're not gonna cut routes, but I just think, I think it'd be a good idea. So I would go with a yes on it, and I think that we should go ahead and vote on it. RT board, what do you think? Go ahead.
Thank you. This is our second hearing, and it is now time to vote on the issue, as he said.
After a motion.
After a move.
I'll take a motion.
I'll move approval of the 2024 operating and capital budget.
Director
as
Kolowski has
presented.
made the
Second.
motion. It's been seconded by Member Budge, Director Budge. Now, please call the roll.
Okay, Director Budge.
Yes.
Director Daniels.
Aye.
Director Hume is absent. Director Kozlowski.
Yes.
Director Laloe is absent. Director Maple.
Aye.
Director Cerna. Director Singh Allen.
Aye.
Director Valenzuela.
Yes.
Chair Kennedy is absent, and Vice Chair Jennings.
Yes.
All right, resolution passes with 8 votes.
Thank you very much. All right, we will now move to item 6. And these are public addresses the board on matters that are not on the agenda. And I have 3 cards in front of me. And I'm sure we have some that are online as well.
We do.
So, Mr. Copeland, would you come to the microphone, please? Followed by Mr. Jeffrey Tartaghiti. I'm not pronouncing your name right, I apologize. And then Roman H.
Okay, last Thursday, I got a phone call from my sister who works at the Walmart in Rancho Cordova. She had to move to by Sunrise Mall. She has to take Uber home now, which is about $20 a day. We need a longer transit. My second point is, I would support a 0.5% sales tax if it does 2 things. Half of that money goes to street repair, including our bridges, and the other half goes to RT. And I was at an ACE meeting on Zoom last Thursday. We brought up a few issues. Restrooms at the light rail stations, public safety, longer hours, free fares. Also, these ticket ambassadors, they're more like ticket agents. They should help the people at the light rail stations to go which bus to get on, not give them tickets. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey?
Well, I'll relocate here closer to, I think, where the camera is. Don't know that it'll work. I will reserve for with Henry dealing with the I-80 elevator. But what I will talk about here is for public comment is the fact that there are so many matters going on that it seems like you don't have track of what is going on and happening. And that's in reference partly to the I-80 situation that I hope that Henry will speak to in his general manager report, but I will also speak to him as the next category. Also will say is this communication needs to be better. What recently ended up happening was I was able to get customer advocacy to go out to the I-80 elevator and realize that the elevator has been down for a number of weeks. You guys don't seem to know how long it's been down. There should be some checking system that lets you know that, hey, this week we've checked the elevator, both elevators are working, and or we're going to have an elevator out and it will be out for 3 months, 6 months, so you make sure that you have your shuttle service and everything put together in a manner that is known to your ridership. I was on Route 88. When our wonderful storm took place, it did damage to a branch. It broke off a branch. So it was coming down there, and every time it hits the buses. I don't know how many reports there are on for route number 88 about, buses getting scratched because they're having contact with a broken limb that's down there, but it's too high to reach from the ground, the floor. There are several other situations through there that need to be, in a manner, checklists need to be used. I also, like I said, suggested reporting that, you said this on the public hearing for the budget. This was the second public hearing. Yet how did the public understand that for 3 meetings you'd had hearings and the documents that are available to them to read, to look at, to see? I spoke of that one for you guys about that, when the budget is out there, there needs to better be an explanation pamphlet sheet and other work going on through there. There are many other things, but for the brand new members of the board, I think about the things that in the past have been out there, that how you are checking, how you are learning about them. And I've also begun to realize, because I now participate in statewide, in country boards related to transportation, and to, beyond this local, that when you've got 15 plus boards, there may be some confusion take place. So how you report them and get them back to who are you reporting to and who needs to know what. And I do this as a representative right now of SacRT, one of your ridership organizations that has been out there trying to report about rider concerns and appreciating some of the idea of shelves and everything else. And my time is up.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Great job. Roman.
I just want to touch on my experience with SacRT, but beforehand, just going back to what we were talking about with the budget, if we get rid of public or fares, then we don't have to worry about maintenance, as the person who was talking earlier, doing maintenance on the pass, the Go Pass or whatever it's called, and then on the ticket machines themselves. So that's another cost. Phil Cerner mentioned tickets that would take away from our budget, or, we've only made $200,000 in 2022. So it's not, if we get rid of the mobile fares app, that's almost half of it right then and there off of one thing. So no one's riding the light rail, no one's riding the buses. So like I said, having that incentive to have it free, it would be great. It would have people riding it. And we're not making a whole lot of money off of fares. Like I said, it's $200,000. You're projected a little bit more in the next 2 years. Oh, big whoopee. So like I said, we already have that covered. And just because something is policy or law doesn't make it morally right. We could do the Chinese Exclusion Act in the 1800s. We could do Jim Crow in the 60s. We could even do now the kids being locked up in cages. So just because it's a law does not make it morally correct. We should follow our moral compass. But like I said, I just want to talk about my experience with SacRT. All these policies are just against the most vulnerable group. One of them, you cannot transfer your ticket to someone else. Officer, if I may ask you, if someone touches you, that's simple assault, correct? If it's a heated argument, if we got into a heated argument and you and I went chest to chest, that would be considered simple assault, correct? All right, he doesn't know the law. But anyway, anytime you lay your hands or touch someone when it's unwanted, that is simple assault. I tried to give my ticket to someone who didn't have a ticket. I was going to get off the light rail. The person checking ticket, the ambassador, got stepped to my chest. He touched me. We were fighting, having a tug of war with my ticket. It got to the point where I was like, I'm just getting off. And we both got off, and I gave my ticket to the guy who didn't have a ticket, and I just biked off. Another most recent time on the bus, there was this young kid, because public fare is free for children, but you have to fold up your scooter. This scooter was one piece. He could not fold it up. Like, he literally could not, because it was one piece. The bus driver was like, it's policy to fold up your scooter, and just drives off. That is not okay. There are rules to follow, but there's also exceptions. I feel like that would be an exception. The bus was also 30 minutes late. I've probably ridden the bus in probably about 30, 40 times, and it's been late and excessively late, or did not come almost 30% of that. That is not acceptable whatsoever. But like I said, that's just one of my experiences, or a few, with SacRT.
Thank you, Roman. Tabitha?
We have Rick Hodgkins.
Rick, if you're on mute.
Finally, we're on matters not on the agenda.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Yeah, first things first. On the budget, I forgot to mention something from the consent calendar, which is SB 1, something I supported, and also we need to pass Measure A again, knowing that this did not pass just last year. We always have next year to pass Measure A. We just need to, maybe we need a TV campaign like what elected officials do if they want to be elected. Maybe just like all the other propositions and measures, maybe we need to do a TV campaign. And also, I also take paratransit in addition to regional transit. And about a week and a half ago, I was taking paratransit from here to, first I went to a podiatrist in Carmichael, and then I went to UC Davis Medical Center. I went to the Lawrence J. Ellison Ambulatory Care Center on Y Street. It was U-Serve, and then to go from UC Davis to Old Sacramento, it was a bus. Whether I take medical transportation or paratransit, the drivers, particularly the U-Serve drivers, always insist on dropping me off in front of the eye center because they think either I am a patient in the eye center, which I'm no longer a patient there. I go out of town for my specialty retina care, the Stanford or UCSF. I'm a patient in the family practice clinic. That's where my primary care physician is. And we need to let U-Serve drivers know that the ICE center is not a place to drop off patients, particularly if they are not a patient in the ICE center. If they are a patient in the ICE center, that is a completely and totally different story. If they're not, there are two different other places that the U-Serve drivers can go. They can drop them off at patient drop-off at the garage because they're just dropping off. They don't need to park. The other place is to drop them off at the new bus pickup and drop off, which is at the loading dock behind the family practice clinic. It's between the cafeteria, the family practice clinic, and the lab. I had a situation where even though I was on time to my appointment, my doctor was running behind, and because of the insurance I have, besides a doctor seeing me, a faculty member comes in after the resident talks to the faculty, and I had to wait for that. I couldn't leave, and I ended up missing the U-Serve ride to go to my next destination, and so I don't know if Kathy Say Chen is there at the meeting, but if someone can have her call me, because I couldn't, the problem was not my fault. The problem is the doctors were running behind that day. This was on Friday, June 2nd, that this happened. So if a doctor is running behind, you can't blame the passenger. That happens. So I had to wait another hour or so for a bus because they could not send another user. But also let users know to let the drivers know to not drop off in front of the eye center unless a patient is a patient unless a passenger is a patient in the eye center. The other two, there's only two different spots to drop off. There is.
Hey, Rick?
Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm almost done.
Okay. I just wanted to be on the same page with you.
Okay.
You're at the 4-minute mark right now.
Okay. There are only two drop-off locations. The main drop-off for the pickup and drop-off for the buses is under construction. Thank you.
Thank you. And you want someone to, you have more?
We have one more,
Okay.
Nick Bryant.
I would like to say that at YAED Light Road Station, I see a bunch of trash along where the bushes are at and where the train tracks are at. Like, it's trash right on the train tracks, right where the bushes are at. It needs to be cleaned up, and I think that, there's one track they're not using that has full of trash, and behind the bush, and where the bushes are at, there's heck of trash. There's a bunch of trash, and it needs to be cleaned up. And I like to see the trash picked up, cleaned up. It just needs to be cleaned. It's disgusting, and and also the graffiti they've been doing it at Wadaida Light Road Station. It's an issue. The graffiti is a problem because you got homeless people that are doing graffiti, and sometimes, the smoking is really bad. They're smoking cigarettes at Wadaida Light Road Station, and sometimes I have to smell it, and I don't want to have to smell it every time. It's disgusting, and I just think that, they don't listen. Nobody listens at Wadaida. Nobody does. But my main concern is the trash that needs to be cleaned up at Water 80 Light Road Station, along where the one track they're not using, and also the bushes, right where the bushes are at. There's trash right on the ground. Bunch of trash. It needs to be cleaned up. I would like to see that cleaned up. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all the callers. One more?
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
I want to thank all the callers who called in on items that are not on the agenda. We appreciate your comments, and it helps us to be a better transit organization and agency. So thank you very much. Would you please call the next item, please?
The next item is 7.1, Resolution 2023-06066, approval of the fiscal year 2023 annual performance evaluation for the General Manager, CEO Henry Lee, and Shelley Valentin is here to present this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Director, Vice Chair Jennings, members of the board, members of the public joining us tonight, and also those who are joining us virtually. My name is Shelley Valentin. I'm the Deputy General Manager for SacRT, reporting on this item. So just for the members of the public, the board met in closed session on May 22nd to discuss the General Manager's performance evaluation. Prior to this meeting, the board was provided with a very comprehensive report on our accomplishments for the fiscal year 2023, our performance scorecard, and then the General Manager's goals for the next fiscal year. These documents are also included in the packet for the staff report that's available for this item. This is our third year of implementing our 5-year strategic plan. It's a data-driven and results-based approach. It sets performance measures for all of our annual goals and guided by our 4 strategic pillars, our operational excellence, customer satisfaction, employee engagement, and community value. Embedded in this strategic plan is SacRT's performance scorecard with metrics, tactics, and milestones for achieving goals. We as a SacRT management team and the leadership team discuss this and review it every quarter. Attachment 4 of that staff report presents SacRT's year-to-date performance scorecard, showing an overall score of 95.54 out of 100. This indicates that we are on our way and we're making tremendous progress in all strategic performance areas. This even surpassed our already outstanding results last year at 91.4 at the same period. The board will continue to receive our performance scorecard quarterly as a written report, but also as a report to the board to make sure we are sharing our progress and getting feedback from the board as well. As shown in that accomplishment report, SacRT met or exceeded the specific goals in all performance areas, and you will see a side-by-side report on all of those specific areas listed in there. This is really the result of the dedicated work of all SacRT staff, our management team, some of them here today, our leadership team, and also most of them here as well, the leadership of Henry and the guidance of the board. And we want to thank the board, the public also, who continue to make us better by the feedback that they are providing. We take this feedback seriously, and we always try to incorporate it in our action items for the future. In recognition of this, it is proposed that the general manager receives a 4% merit increase. This is similar to what the management and confidential employee group or our non-represented employee group, as well as the OE3 bargaining group is receiving for this fiscal year. Before you is a resolution approving the general manager's FY23 performance evaluation and the proposed merit increase. And that concludes my report. I'm here if you have any questions.
Why don't you stay there for a minute, and we'll go to director questions at this time. All right, I see no director questions at this time. Let's take public comment. I have two cards in front of me. I have Roman H. and Jeffrey.
Perfect. Thank you. We've been talking about saving money. This 4% increase is ridiculous. This man gets paid over $300,000 a year already. So why should he get a 4% increase when his salary is already enough? I'm not sure if you ask, you could ask an average person. If they say $300,000, that's a whole lot of money. $12,000 more, that's also a whole lot of money. So we're talking about saving money here. He has not done great. Yeah, sure, we got an award or two. That was all a facade. It was for show. It was to show that we're progressive, even though we're not. One of the last times I wrote our SacRT, and I just started writing it again to give him another chance. Some old gentleman didn't have his ticket. They were going to kick him off the light rail. I was like, oh, here's $5, go buy a ticket. He was like, I don't know how to buy a ticket. I was like, goodness gracious. So then I told this young kid, I was like, hey, hold the door open. I'm going to go buy the ticket. I was riding I just got this bike. It's a couple $100. It was super nice. And so I get off the light rail. As soon as I buy the ticket and run back, the light rail takes off with my bike. So like I said, I didn't get my bike for almost 5 days. That was my only mode of transportation. I was trying to do a good deed. Instead of this SacRT person like, hey, this is how you buy a ticket, they were just going to kick him off the light rail and not have him buy a ticket at all. Just awful experience after awful experience. Being harassed by SacRT ambassadors, his employees, them taking photos of the unhoused, treating them just like animals. It is not okay whatsoever. Sure, she said they did a 9.5 out of 100, or 95 out of 100. That's their own numbers. That's like having the police investigate themselves when they kill an unarmed person, especially an unarmed black man. They're doing their own investigation. Of course they're going to be found not guilty. They're going to be found they were following policy. So if they're doing their own numbers, of course they're going to give themselves an A rating. So it is just a joke. We've been talking about where can we save money? How can we get more money? This alone is a great example. We're saving $12,000. Yeah, that might not seem like nothing. That's a whole lot of things that we could do with $12,000. So it's ridiculous that he is looking for a 4% increase when we are struggling for finances. $300,000 is more than enough. If I'm not mistaken, that is your salary, correct, Mr. Lee?
You want to talk to the council?
Exactly. But like I said, it's ridiculous. I am against this 4% increase. I would hope you guys are also as well, because that could be used for improving public transit rather than giving it to a man who has poor customer service. and just going against the people who are riding his transit.
Okay, Jeffrey.
This is more to ask, what does the general manager need that has not happened? I hear from the operators, they don't know what they know he's fiscally good, but they don't know about him. Henry Lee knows me because the first time when he become the general manager, I had to bug him about the I-80 elevator. Now, it's not just RT that missed it, not just the board that missed it, also the MAC missed it, that you guys should have been reviewing what was going on at I-80 in a symptomatic manner, in more of a quarterly or semi-annual manner, to know that you still have a problem. You objectively approved an item today that suggests something more that's going to change, yet you still have a problem with I-80. But back to communication. That is something, what else is missing from Henry Lee to deal with his personality and his people? Like you know, there were certain things that in the past that have come up that have been closed sessioned, never reviewed to the public. Those are personal matters. But do they have an impact in regard to what is going on with Henry Lee? And in this 5-year plan, what have we had to delay? What is still missing from the 5-year plan? I just bring that to your attention, board. That is something that you are the ones that are in power and control, and direct him of what he needs to do. But do you know what is missing? I thank you, and that's my public comment on this matter.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to director comments. Director Cerna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess I'll start with, I guess I respectfully disagree with some of the speakers on this item. As a member of this board for 13 years, and knowing where we were and some of the fundamental challenges, not just the fiscal challenges that we faced when I first joined the board at that time, but certainly some of the other equally concerning aspects of the then inability to really, I think, focus the way we are now on customer service. And I know we're never going to make everyone 100% satisfied. I've yet to see a subject-specific agency be able to accomplish that objective. But while I do respect certainly the input from the public and our writers about what they see and experience on our system, I could tell you that if we didn't have the leadership of our particular general manager, Henry Lee, for the duration that we've had him here to help turn things around, I think we'd be in a much, much worse case. So with that, I don't know if there's others in the queue, but I'm happy to move adoption of Resolution 2023-06066. Thank you.
Second.
Mayor Singh-Allen, please.
Thank you, and thank you, Director Cerna, for your comments. I echo the same sentiments, 110%. You know, running an organization of this size is challenging, and of course it comes with all of the issues and some of the concerns that people have raised. But I can tell you that I am 110% confident in the talent that we have with our general manager. He is transparent. He is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. He lives and breathes those words. I've seen the results. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines, but his commitment to continuous improvement is evident every single day in the work that he does. So I stand 100% in solidarity with the work that you have done and where the organization is headed. And I also firmly believe in honoring contracts. We have a contract. And so, you know, these have been negotiated already. They're in place. There are benchmarks for success that you have met and have exceeded in a number of areas. So I thank you for your commitment to SacRT and the great work that you continue to do.
I'll get Director Daniels, and I'll come back to Director Valenzuela.
Thank you very much. As one of the newbies here, which a lot of us are, I have followed Mr. Lee somewhat, but certainly much more intimately in the last 6 months or so. I've already had respect for him even before I met him, and have a lot more respect since after meeting and being a part of this organization, this board. And there was a comment said earlier that we had so many things going on that you don't know what's going on. And I just have to say that, man, you couldn't be any further from reality, okay? The chainsaws that Mr. Lee has to juggle, and they're running, are just incredible. And imagine trying to run an organization where you're the guy that everybody expects everything to run great, but you're the guy that has to take this direction from employees, from labor unions, from regulators. Restrictions are on you. There's the federal government, there's the state government, there's the locals, there's us that are from different cities and the county, and all of this stuff is getting thrown at you all the time. And you're supposed to just be able to run, I guess, a perfect organization with no issues. That's just not reality. Things get slipped. They'll slip through the cracks every now and then. But if that's what you're going to use to judge a guy who has to oversee such an incredible operation, you're missing it. You're just missing it. I'm so sorry that the young man left earlier. Because, you know, I was once young, a little too rambunctious at times with my mouth. And the young man could use a little more function with his ears than his mouth, I guess is the way I'll put it. Because there's things to learn here. Nobody's perfect. Mr. Lee is not perfect. Gets pretty damn close, but he's not perfect. And so there are things that I think that are also the result of the more you do, the more you're going to be scrutinized too. The more things you try to offer, the more things people are just going to look at being wrong. Something's just wrong somewhere. So learn a little bit more, maybe open your ears, close your mouth a little bit more, and understand that this is an extremely complex operation that goes, and just personally goes beyond what I think should be offered. And in the process, Mr. Lee has to do incredible juggling acts to make it happen. And we had a closed session. I wish you could have heard those comments because he's extremely well respected, not only in this room, not only in this organization, but in this region and beyond. And this town is lucky to have him.
Director Valenzuela.
Thank you, Chair. I couldn't, I'll echo my prior colleagues' comments, but just to say that, well, first of all, the fact that you put your evaluation in a public agenda, you're so transparent with what you're doing well and where you want to improve. And that is not something that most executives would ever do, is say, here, we're going to put the whole 95% out there. You're going to see where we did well. You're going to see where we didn't do well. But I have to say that, before I was on the board, because I've not been on the board as long as many folks here, I was an advocate around transportation, and I engaged with the prior general manager. And then when Henry came in, we had breakfast across the street, probably in your first couple of months. And what you will find with Henry is that I think a real recognition of where we could grow, a real honesty with what we need to get there, and a real willingness. I've never met a bigger transit nerd in my life than Henry Lee. I mean, this man knows what every agency is doing. He knows what the cutting edge is on everything, and he wants to do it, and he wants to figure out how. What he needs more than anything is partnership and support. And so I do support when people come come in with ideas like free transit and when they want to expand service and have public, like, that's amazing. And so like, let's help him figure out how to do this. And I just have to say, this team is exceptional. I just texted a question about a parcel on a list, and Chris texted me a parcel map about 2 minutes later. I've never had that response time from any staff at any of the JPAs that I've sat on. So I just want to commend that, like, what Henry and his team inspire is that willingness to go as far as the public is willing to support them to go. And so that's really the call, is that we have this amazing team, we have this amazing manager, we can do all the things that people are asking us to do if we give him the tools and the ability to do it. They've demonstrated that. So thank you, Henry.
Anyone else? So I just want to add just a little bit to it, because I think my colleagues have said everything I want to say. And Director Cerna said it best when he said, I respectfully disagree. I want to be very respectful, even though the young man who told you I was from D.C., that was not what we grew up believing, that we had to be respectful in disagreeing. So that's not my nature to be respectful, but today I want to be respectful in disagreeing that Henry Lee is a leader. Henry Lee is a great teammate. Henry Lee is someone who wants to be here and wants to do better every single day. And when you hear the passion in his voice, when you hear his commitment to service, when you hear what he wants to do with the agency, when you see the transparency in everything that he does, he is committed to this organization, and he shows it every single day, because he shows up every single day to work, and he expects everybody else to work in the same speed that he's working. So I respectfully disagree. Henry, you are a great teammate. You are someone who is a great leader in the city, and 4%, there's no way. I mean, I think just based on your pay scale and comparing it to other people in your field, you're one of the lowest paid members in your field. And so with that said, I'm very much in favor of this raise to give you 4%, because I think you've earned it and you deserve it. Okay. With that, we will take a vote.
Okay, so we have a motion by Cerna and a second by Budge. And for item 7.1, Director Budge?
Yes.
Director Daniels?
Aye.
Director Hume is absent. Director Kozlowski?
Aye.
Director Lilloye is absent. And Director Maple is absent. Director Cerna?
Aye.
Director Singh Allen?
Aye.
Director Valenzuela?
Yes.
Chair Kennedy is absent, and Vice Chair Jennings.
100%, yes.
And with that, item 7.1 passes with 7 votes.
Thank you. All right, we will move to item 7.2. We have in our presence the chair and CEO, and okay, I'll let you do that. Didn't see you come up there.
Good evening. I snuck up on you. So we're going to pull up a presentation here. So good evening, Vice Chair Jennings and members of the board. My name is Jamie Adelman. I'm the VP of Procurement, Real Estate, and Special Projects for SacRT. And tonight I'm excited to provide an update on SacRT's Transit-Oriented Development, or TOD, efforts, and also introduce our guest from SACOG, here to provide updates on the Green Means Go program. SacRT has been very busy over the past 5 years, surplusing properties to help further TOD in the Sacramento region. SacRT has sold 8 properties, of which 5 are identified here as contributing to TOD. We also have more properties that will be coming to market for future TOD projects. I would like to highlight a few of the properties and developments that are a result of our surplus property sales. In 2018, SacRT sold 2.75 acres, which resulted in the development of Salvatore Apartments on Arden Way, opening next week on June 22nd. The development has 120 affordable housing units and is just a short walk to the Royal Oaks Light Rail Station. Another well-known TOD project is the mixed-use residential and retail development at 65th Street. This development resulted in an improved transit center for SacRT's light rail and fixed route bus service. SacRT sold a little over 2 acres in 2019 to support this development. Sac State students are occupying the student housing, and the area is busy with students and neighboring residents accessing rail and bus service. Finally, SacRT sold nearly 8 acres of land in March of 2021 that supported the development of the Aurora Apartments off of Sunrise Boulevard, which offer 162 apartment units. There are also a lot of very exciting projects in the works that SacRT is actively partnering on to encourage future TOD and add additional light rail stations for easy access to transit. SacRT has been partnering with the Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency to build the Dos Rios light rail station to support SHRA's Marisol Village housing units. There is another light rail station under construction. Oh, if you could go next slide, please. I don't know if it's stuck. There it is, thank you. There is another light rail station under construction at North 7th and Rail Yards Boulevard, adding a new stop to the Green Line to support development in the Rail Yards area. And we're also pleased to see new development occurring around the Township 9 station. So future development that SacRT would like to support is TOD at the Meadowview Light Rail Station. The park and ride lot is currently underutilized and is a prime location for a new community master plan. SacRT partnered with the City of Sacramento to apply for a Planning Green Means Go grant to fund a community-driven master plan to encourage joint development of that neighborhood. We are very excited to announce that the City and SacRT were successful in the grant process and were awarded $300,000 by SACOG to further our efforts. With that, I'd like to introduce our special guest, and I guess he needs no introduction. We've got James Corliss here, the Executive Director from SACOG, to go over the Green Means Go program.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and good evening, everybody. Again, James Corliss from SACOG. Yeah, great. So we've got some slides up there. I really want to talk about the importance of this program and to really get more housing developed around transit stations, along transit corridors. So if you, and the partnership really that we've had with SacRT on this and the TOD action plan, but also the partnership that is going to continue to be needed with all of your local jurisdictions. So next slide. So the idea behind Green Means Go, and I think some of you are aware of this, and actually Director Serna, I want to thank you for your early support in this as the CARB board member for our region. We were under a state mandate, still are, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from our transportation plan. And we said to the state, look, we actually want to succeed and we want to reduce carbon emissions, but you got to help us. You got to help us by giving us infrastructure money so we can build more housing along transit corridors. Many of you and much of the region advocated for $400 million as a pilot program in state funding for our region. Instead, we got $600 million in a statewide program, which suggests the work we still have to do at the state level to build our muscle, but that translated into $34 million of Green Means Go funding to fund, next slide, please, water, sewer, and utility and infrastructure upgrades. Basically, the under the ground, hard to see, but if we don't actually expand it and invest in it, we can't make a lot of the housing pencil. We got together with a lot of private developers and affordable housing providers about 3 years ago, and I don't have to tell you all the barriers to building more housing. Labor cost, CEQA, local opposition, zoning, risk and cost, but the water, sewer, and utility upgrades are huge. And if we can't get those invested, we're going to see a lot of our old aging commercial corridors just stay half vacant. We're going to see a lot of our parking lots stay underutilized, and we're going to see a lot of our light rail station areas not have housing around them. So next slide. So let's keep going because I probably got too many slides to show you, so I'll try to get through this. One, again, great example here, Stockton Boulevard, of where we have SacRT, in this case the city and county, all working on, you know that's your busiest, Line 51, your busiest bus corridor, running north and south up Stockton and then along Broadway. This corridor was part of a program we had a few years ago called Civic Lab. We had the city and the county get together and put together basically a plan for the whole corridor to get more housing along the corridor. They applied to what we called our early activation fund program of Green Means Go, and they were awarded last November with SHRA $2 million, next slide please, for the old San Juan Motel apartment site. So this is an old motel. It was abandoned, gone, vacant lot. And that $2 million allowed SHRA to translate that into getting some tax credit money. And this is now a project that actually overlaps the city and county, all affordable, and it's getting built right on the hopefully future bus rapid transit corridor of Stockton Boulevard. It was a great sense of how city, county, SacRT, and SACOG could get together on this. I also really want to just put a plug and thanks to Senator Pan when he was in the legislature and the Senate, really got some of that early money, the $4 million, to plus up the 34 and to get this project funded. So next slide. Also, you know that you've got a huge light rail system, right? And you have a lot of underutilized land around that light rail. The Gold Line in particular, I want to tell you, it's just crying out for more infill and affordable housing and mixed-use development. And here's the Mather Mills Light Rail Station. Credit to Rancho Cordova and the work that they've done to actually purchase the property right across Folsom Boulevard from Mather Mills. That was a recipient of $5 million out of Green Means Go, future civic center, housing, Folsom Lake College, and lots of amenities there that the city wants to see so that people are right on that Gold Line corridor. And now, I don't think we've heard yet, but we're one of the applications that's applying for part of the statewide pot of money that is sort of similar to Green Means Go. So great example of light rail and the potential and opportunity for infill development. And I know you know this, but I really want to emphasize, when we're talking about ridership and we're talking about the loss of state workers downtown, right, and what's going to happen, the loss of ridership on light rail, which were a lot of commuters, more people in more housing units on these corridors are built-in riders, right? Not 100%, but there's a percent that will ride light rail and will ride the bus system. So it's really critical. This is the team effort here, right, Coach? The team effort that we need. All right, next slide. So just an example of how this works, right? It's a little bit of a bank shot because we got to get money to do infrastructure to allow housing to happen. So in Rancho Cordova, it's $7 million, along with a lot of money the city's put in, including buying the land, and those kind of, in this case, drainage upgrades, site improvements will unlock those 20 acres of vacant land. Okay, next slide. Director Daniels, you know this project really well. It was the old Sunrise Mall, and it is envisioned, so next slide, to go from Sunrise today to Sunrise tomorrow. So this is one of the first major mall re-envisioning and redevelopment projects that we have in this region. This is a regional project, and we should all be cheering for Citrus Heights to redevelop to Sunrise tomorrow. Next slide. But it's not that easy. You've got multiple property owners, and you have a lot of infrastructure investment that's needed. A lot of infrastructure, that will have a payback, right? So if we can get that money and help Citrus Heights with roads, sidewalks, sewer, water, electric, natural gas, it translates into economic activity. It translates into more housing. So next slide. We've also, under Green Means Go, been able to provide some technical assistance. We actually had 2 national developer panels come out and do a deep dive on the North Watt Avenue corridor, which, believe it or not, in unincorporated Sacramento County, just above McClellan base, could take as many as 10,000 new housing units. But it's on septic, it's on wells, and it needs drainage. That is never going to happen unless we get the infrastructure. So next slide. So just want to close by just highlighting what Jamie was walking through just earlier before me on your staff was talking about a commitment to do transit-oriented development. And we had a great partnership to do a TOD action plan, SacRT and SACOG. So next slide. This plan was developed together, and it was just finalized a couple of years ago. And it really, among the things that I are really important about this plan is, A, we have tremendous opportunity around our light rail corridors, tremendous opportunity. Not every station has to be super dense, tall housing, right? So every station can be different. And there's typologies here that we've worked on with the city and county staff and SacRT. So you can see everything from the town center to the main street to the urban core. The markets aren't all there yet for this kind of development, right? So this is a bit of a medium to long game in some cases, but there are other TOD sites, and Jamie mentioned Meadowview, but also along the Gold Line that have huge opportunity in them. So next slide. I'm going to keep going. Next slide. All right. So that's the end. What I really just wanted to say is I want to say a big thank you to your staff for working on this together. This Green Means Go program, we've got 34 million. We need about 20 times or 30 times that amount. And this program is critical to being able to achieve our regional greenhouse gas reduction targets, to get long-term ridership for SacRT, to make this a healthy, vibrant, equitable region. It's no less important than all of that. Your jurisdictions come in to become really important because when SacRT looks at enhancing the bus system, they're going to need with all your public works directors to actually get signalization priority and making sure we can do the infrastructure to support bus rapid transit. When we do the infill development, SacRT has sold those properties you heard about, but the rest of it is in your general plans and your zoning. And good news, you've done a lot of work on that, but we need that partnership between local jurisdictions, SacRT, SACOG, the state, and the feds. And I'll just close by saying there's a lot of money now in the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act to reduce carbon emissions. Do we have a program for the feds? This Green Means Go and our TOD action plan, we are trying to get money and become a pilot program nationally. Finally, just want to invite you all this Friday in Folsom, the Folsom Community Center. Thank you, Director Kozlowski, for hosting a regional workshop on the future of the region. Long-range plan, we're developing a plan out to 2050. That Green Means Go is just a piece of the puzzle when we think about how we are going to grow, where we're going to grow, how we're going to move around in the future. So with that, I want to thank your staff for the great partnership. I want to thank all of you for what's to come because we're going to need all of your help, both at SacRT but also within your local jurisdictions to get the housing, to get the transit, and just thank you very much.
Thank you, James. At this point in time, I want to take directors while you're at the microphone who have any questions.
Just
James?
a quick question. Thank you, James. Excellent presentation. Do you plan to have additional workshops, or is this the one?
This is the big one for now. We'll be coming back out actually to every county, either the fall or the spring. We won't be adopting this plan until 2025.
Okay.
So this is a milestone, a stopping point, a chance to engage your staff and members of the public in sort of where we are. But it's another 18 to 24 months of development and opportunities.
Well, we'd love to host you in one of those. Thank you.
Sure.
Good. Other questions? Yes.
Not a question, but congratulations on the very detailed article in the Bee this morning. They took up a lot of space, and it really talked about the kinds of things that you've talked about tonight. And yes, I would join Elk Grove. We're happy to have you come out and talk to us at City Council.
Thank you, Director Budge. I will say what's interesting, and I think the article didn't quite get it this morning, is we're underproducing housing, all forms of housing. We are in a housing shortage, and so both attached, both single family, both we're in a crisis. And the polling that we're just releasing now suggests that the first time for a while, majority of the public is very nervous about new housing and development, right? And so we've got work to do to convince, I think, the region that we need more housing, more affordable housing, and more housing where we don't have to drive as much and we can take transit.
Any other questions? Great presentation, great work over at SACOG. You guys are just incredible, and really appreciate being a part of it and seeing the work that you're doing and moving the whole region forward. So keep.
Well, I want to emphasize the partnership with your staff here at SacRT. This is and the partnership with all your cities and counties. It will only succeed through that. So thanks to them.
Yeah, and this transit-oriented development is really big. It's a huge strategy, and I'm glad that partnership exists between the two agencies.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, I've got a couple of questions, public comments. Robert?
I agree with doing this. We need a lot more low-income housing and housing in general to reduce our greenhouse gases. So if you have one in Midtown or downtown, I would like to know about it if it open to the public. I think it's one of the most important things we can do in Sacramento County. Thank you.
So James, I heard you say on the meeting on Friday. I heard you invite the public to that. So I just want to be clear that the public can participate and be engaged in that?
I will tell you, as of this morning, we're pretty sold out. So, but there's a website, sacog.org. Go on that website, send us an email, communicate. We'll see what we can do. There may be a few tickets left, but we're just about at capacity. And there will be many, many other opportunities to weigh in. There's a survey online. The SacB article this morning has their own survey out there, so definitely want a lot of input in the next 12 to 18 months.
Don't give away my seat, because I will be there.
Rick Hotchkins has his hand up.
Okay. Rick.
Or Rick.
All right, can you hear me? I support transit-oriented development. That besides Marisol Village, that we have what's called the AJ mixed-use development that is owned and operated by USA Properties. AJ is, it's named after AJ Stevens, who was a railroadman that I think he worked in the rail yards many years ago. So there's the AJ that where I would like to move into, and that there's also Marisol Village. It's a shame that the event on Friday costs money. By the way, incidentally, I'm curious, what time is that event? And also, the more housing that we develop, the good thing is that the more housing that we develop, the easier our chances will be to repeal what is called, it's the only law in California that prevents inclusionary housing. It's called the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act. It prevents people like myself from living in areas close to transit. That's my way of saying that the Costa-Hawkins Act prevents inclusionary housing. So that the more housing we build, then the easier our chances will be to repeal maybe a part of the Costa-Hawkins Act which applies to apartment complexes and townhomes. Thank you.
Okay, Rick, just to clarify, the event on Friday starts at 8:30, and it goes into about approximately 12 o'clock. And to my knowledge, unless somebody else paid for me, there is no cost to participate in that event. So just to be clear. Do we have any other director comments on this item? Thank you for spending the time with us, James. We appreciate that, and being here the whole meeting. I got ready to move you up, but I appreciate you staying and moving on. All right, let's move to the general manager's report, item 8.
Hey, good evening, Vice Chair Jennings, members of the board and the public. Before I start my update, I just want to acknowledge. Sorry. Hey, good evening, Vice Chair Jennings, members of the board and the public. Before I start my update, I want to acknowledge several board member birthdays over the next couple of weeks. In fact, we have over half of our board members celebrating their birthdays, including Director Helm tonight, Director Xin Allen on June 18th, a couple days later, and Director Y.K. Chara on June 27th, Director Daniels on July 1st, and Director Maple on July 14th, and Director Lolori on July 17th. Happy birthdays to all of you. Okay, I just wanted to say this from the beginning. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you for your kind words about GM performance, evaluation, and general support for me and all staff. It's really for all staff. And this will further motivate us to do our best to move this agency to the next level. We actually, our EMT had multiple meetings to summarize all the improvement suggestions board gave to me last time, and we're going to brief board on our progress regularly. With that, I want to also recognize that today it's National Automotive Service Professionals Day. We want to celebrate SacRT's mechanicals who are vital to keep to keeping SacRT system operating efficiently and safely for our customers. And we also want to take a moment to thank the board just successfully adopted a balanced budget. Normally, the budget process is the most difficult process for a transit agency. I worked for about 3 to 4 transit agencies in the past, including Malta, which has a budget about 4 times more than our budget. I was the budget director then, 10 years ago. And normally we had about 4 to 6 hours debates and complaints in the board meetings with about 4 different period meetings, board meeting in 3, 4 to 4 month period. And for today, we just had like 2 or 3 complaints, which actually shows we are very good side. So I want to thank SacRT's budget team, our new CFO, and our entire team for you guys' hard work and working together as a true team to make sure the budget process was a smooth and effective process. And thank board members who for giving us directions and communication about what you guys' priorities, board members' priorities are. Okay. Next, quickly, as we know, June is LGBTQ Pride Month, and 2023 Sacramento Pride Festival was held this past weekend on Capitol Mall. SacRT partnered with Sacramento LGBT Community Center to provide free rides to festival attendees. We normally, on a weekly basis, provide this type of service to lots of different organizations, especially minority organizations. The next one. Speaking of partnerships, we continue our collaboration and support for shared projects and zero carbon future with SACRT, Smart and Air Quality District, and other organizations. So we're proposing 4 agencies trying to coordinate a 4-agency joint board meeting on November 9th. More details and the calendar appointment will be forthcoming. If there's some calendar issues, we can try to propose a new date or new time. Then some great exciting news. Last week, the California Transportation Commission, CTC, released its 2023 grant funding recommendations, including 2 grants to SacRT. If adopted at the June 28th CTC board meeting, SacRT would be awarded $35 million to support our Sacramento Valley Station project and also our Gold Line Station platform modifications. That means we secured enough money for our platform modifications for all Gold Line stations and partial Blue Line stations. $35 million is a lot compared to the other recipients. Then I also want to extend an invitation to everyone that to attend the plug-in ceremony of the SacRT's innovative public-private partnership among GetUp, a private investment firm, State Treasury Department, SMART, and SacRT. This actually is the first in the nation, an electric charging hub at our Powell-in light rail station. This Wednesday at 10 a.m., we will be celebrating the opening of 10 Level 3 high-speed chargers in an underutilized section of Powell-in light rail station. The site will also offer 2 charging stations that are designed to accommodate large fleet vehicles, such as SacRT bus or semi-tractor. The state CARB, actually, provide great support on this too, thanks to Director Sarah and the current Director Erica Guerrera for the support on this project. The event actually is linked to the 36th Electric Vehicle Symposium and Expo, a premier event for electric transportation and innovation with over 2,200 attendees going on right now at Sacramento Convention Center. This is the longest running international conference devoted to electric transportation and technologies, which is very exciting. The state of California estimates that by 2030, about 1.2 million chargers will be needed for 8 million vehicles. Currently, we only have 80,000 public chargers in statewide, so we are way off from 1.2 million goal. In addition to helping us meet our climate goals, the agreement with the private investor Gate Up means SacRT will receive monthly property and admin fees, as well as 10% of share in all net revenues generated from the chargers. We're excited to say that this pilot project go live and hope you can join State Treasurer Fiora Ma and State Energy Department head and other public officials at our event on Wednesday. Quickly, also there will be an event to celebrate the opening of Salvator Apartments, as Jamie mentioned. In 2018, we sold our property on Arden Way adjacent to our Royal Oaks light rail station for nearly $1 million. Community Housing Works, affordable housing development company, has completed the construction of a sustainable transit-oriented community project featuring 120 new apartment homes. The project also includes improvements along Arden Way, such as new sidewalks, landscaping, lighting, bike lanes, and improved access to the Royal Oaks light rail station. The event is being planned for Thursday, June 22nd at 11:30 a.m., and I hope to see everyone there. Okay, I'm going to cut a couple topics. One is the Water I-80 elevator progress. We're going to have a more comprehensive update to the board about that. So before I conclude my remarks, I want to share we're so proud to say we are entering year 4 of the Ride-Free RT Fare Free Rides for Youth program. The program allows all 265,000 students to ride all RT bus and light rail trains for free all day, any day of the year. The program helped to boost students' ridership. Pre-pandemic, youth made up approximately 8% of the total riders. Now, the students account for nearly 25% of all SacRT riders over the last year. In closing, it's with a heavy heart that I announce the passing of Elk Grove bus operator Dean Lucas on May 28th. Dean worked as a bus operator for SacRT since July 2019 in the Elk Grove facility. Please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of our valued team member. Thank you. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Great remarks and great presentation. Let's go to director questions and comments. Seeing none at this time, let's go to the public. We have two speakers, Robert Copeland and Jeffrey Tardaki.
Henry Lee, great presentation about the $35 million. Can you help get more grants for Sacramento RT bus system? Because we are woefully short on buses, bus operators. And have you talked to other people in your position and other cities on what they're doing better than we are and what they're doing worse than we are? I would request that if you're not doing that already. Thank you.
Okay, Jeffrey.
And here I will say kudos to you, and kudos I will also say to Henry, because yes, if I hadn't made some comments, I don't think the board would have told about you. And you need to have, good kudos about what's going on through here. At the same time, I will say there are certain matters that on ongoing projects, like i.e. I've offered the Los Rios, we have not gotten that built. It's been delayed. The Folsom, it's been delayed. What is the revised timetable on some of these things? These are the ongoing projects that are here that really need to be updated more than every 6 months about what is happening and going on. And that's part of what my focus of comment is. And again, saying that, yeah, Henry, I get to see other organizations as well. And there's many ideas that you have brought forth that, and I will also ask that the minutes reflected dealing with the free rides that have been offered through here. You do them spontaneously at times and various set aside. You don't explain the cumulative of results of offering free rides and where it may or may not translate into increased ridership. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from online?
We have Rick Hodgkins.
Okay. Rick, mic is yours.
Yes. First, I just wanted to say, Henry, I agree with the board. You've done an outstanding job. I've heard nothing but good things about you. If you could manage Muni in San Francisco, you could manage RT, Regional Transit, up here in Sacramento. I just wanted to point out, speaking of the Watt and I-80 elevators, as that progresses, we should eventually do what the BART system has done, that whenever an elevator, of course, all their stations have elevators. We only have one station with an elevator, but that what I'm suggesting is in the future, we have, how there are announcements auditorily at each and every station that whenever, and this is also on board BART trains, by the way, as well as in the BART stations, just like there's auditory announcements in the light rail stations, that we also ought to have auditory announcements on board every light rail train, that which tells people that the elevator at Watt and I-80 is down. So once again, great job. I would agree with the board. I give credit where credit's due. I've heard more good things than anything else. And to the gentleman who lost his bike on light rail, just let them know what it looked like, and they will retrieve it. Thank you.
And we have Nick Bryant.
I'd like to say congratulations to Henry, and I want to say that you have done a great job for SacRT, and I want to say, you're doing a good job, Henry. And I want to say, as going forward, that, you know, working on the elevators, trying to get this working very quickly, and addressing the trash on the one truck in the bushes at 180 Lipo Station, and also looking at banning 180, rebuild and reroute the RT fixed route down the lower level platform along with Pulaski County Transit, and then you guys can tear down the old 180 station and rebuild it, and I think that we need to look and see when construction is going to begin, and we should work with Pulaski County Transit along with maybe put all the RT routes, RT bus routes down the platform, because I think it'd be easier, because that you have ADA wheelchairs, and I think that we need to start working on that, because it would be easier for the ADA wheelchairs to you just let them off right where the train picks up, light rail train picks up, and they just get on. It'd be easier. Instead of me, I don't like climbing the stairs. I don't like going down the stairs. It's just too much, and I don't like the stairs. 180 stairs. It's disgusting, and it's time to move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. That conclude all public comment?
It does.
Okay. Any comments from directors? Seeing none, we'll move to item 9, reports, ideas, and questions from any directors, if any. Seeing none, we'll move to 9.1, the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority meeting summary. Is there a report on that?
There's a written report.
Written report received. Any questions or comments on that? I don't have anything from the public and don't see any director with their hand up. Okay, Tabitha, will you read the closed session items, please?
Yes. The closed session, 13.1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 1 case, and 13.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Anderson versus SacRT.
Okay, and with that said, I'm going to announce that there will be no report out from closed session. So with that said, this meeting is adjourned, and thank everyone for coming and attending.